What is SQL injection? SQL injection refers to an injection attack where an attacker can execute malicious SQL statements, also commonly referred to as a malicious payload, that control a web application's database server. The general principle of SQL injection vulnerabilities is that the incoming data is not checked and filtered by the background query statement, which causes the incoming data to modify the original query statement, which causes the database information to be obtained by the attacker through various returnable information, such as echo. Therefore, the background query statement is very important for the filtering of the incoming data. An SQL injection needs just two conditions to exist: a relational database that uses SQL, and a user controllable input, which is directly used in an SQL query. Let's say that now we have a web page that vulnerable to SQL injection attack. In this scenario, I will use Sqli Labs from Dockan. Let's open the lesson -1 error base single quotes. So this page asks us to input .id as parameter and use numeric string as its value. If you type the ID and parameter in the end of URL, this page will give us a result as username and password. Keep changing the numeric value until 14, and the page will give you the same result as username and password. But when you hit the 15 value, this page will return nothings. And that means the database only have 14 record. Or you may say that only 14 user register to the database. And now, where the hell we will get the error? And where SQL injection is? Now put a single quote after the numeric value, and the page will return an syntax error. So we have a SQL error here. But how it could be happen? Let's open the index.php of lesson 1 to understand it better. Scroll it until you find the connectivity comment. Below this comment, you will find a select query. On this query, the parameter ID is wrapped around single quotes. And that's why when you input a value with extra quotes, that's make a syntax error. It is totally on the developer how he enclosed the parameter value in the SQL query. He can enclose the parameter value in a single quote, double quotes with bracket, etc. In order to add our custom query to this, first we need to fix this error first. To do that, we need to comment out the rest of the old query. We can add --+ at the end of URL. Or even encoding for hash. Or URL encoding for space. Now we will try to add query between the quote and plus to get information from the database. We'll use another select query here to get information from the database. But the select queries won't warn on another select queries. That's why we need union operator here. The union operator is used to combine the result set of two or more select statements. but for union operator there is one precondition, that number of columns on both sides of the union operator should be same. Since we don't know the number of columns in the select query at the backend, so first, we have to find the number of columns used in the select query. For this, we will use order by clause to determine how much column on the backend. Let's put this clause between single quotes and hyphen following by numbers. Keep increasing the numbers value till we reach an error. When we hit the numbers 4, this page give a error result. And that means, we have 3 columns in the queries at the backend. Another way to find how much column in the backend is by using union operator following by select query. And for value we will use null. Here an example how to do this. Type the union operator following by select query on the address bar. Then add null as the value and hit enter. Keep adding null values separate by comma till we don't see any error. If you are not see any error, and the page displayed something from the database, that is the length of column on the backend. How much null value that you use is the length of the column. In this case there are 3 null here. At this point, we are able to retrieve data from database. First thing, change the null value to the numbers of columns. Then hit enter. As you can see, this page display the result of first query. To get the result of a second selected query, we have to make the result of the first query as empty. This we can achieve by providing the ID that does not exist. We can provide negative ID, or ID bigger than 14, because we have figured out that there are 14 IDs in the database. If use that value, and hit enter, this shows we are getting values of column 2 and column 3 as output. So we'll use these 2 columns to extract information about the database and from the database. Let's check the database version first. Here there are, and the database name. So, we have the database name as security, and the database version info as 10.4.19 MariaDB. OK, now we need to check the names of tables on the database. We will use this table's name later, to search any sensitive data. In the second column we will use table_name as parameter. And use information schema function with table object to get data from the database. In this case, table's name. As you see that this query will show us the name of one of the tables in the database. For instance, emails. This was one method to check table names, one by one. Another method is getting all the table names once and together by using group concat keyword. Use tables names as parameter of this SQL function. As simple as that. Now we have all the table's name on the database. Now let's check one of the tables presented to us. Let's say, the table's named users. Change the table's name parameter to column name. So, this time we won't check on the table, but at the columns instead. On the table's named users. And that is what we are looking for. The username and the password. Well, this time I will extract the username for you. Now all of the username displayed for us. We can check the password too, of course. There are multiple ways to do this. You can even make username and password displayed in same page. Like this. Now we know the right password for specific username. However, no matter how complex this payload, it's just a simple SQL statement. And I am just using pre-built SQL function here. The point is, you need to understand how backend database work to perform any various SQL injection attack. I hope you can learn something on this video. And see you at another tutorial.